Hello everybody, welcome to the second part of our Unit 2. Unit 2 is on epistemology, and in this part we're looking at empiricism, and we're looking specifically at Locke and Hume. So let's first start with a little description of empiricism, a little history of it. It was a method, I guess you could say, stimulated by the rise of experimental science. So empiricism as a philosophy is connected with empiricism as a mode of doing science. This happened in the 17th through the 18th century. And the three names, you can see pictures of them there, most associated with sort of the rise of empiricism is John Locke, George Berkeley, and David Hume. Now there are some links to George Berkeley's writing in the folder, and if you read the long lecture or listen to the long lecture, I talk a little bit more about him. But in this lecture and for this unit, you just need to read Locke, and we're reading excerpts out of something called An Essay Concerning Human Understanding, and we're reading excerpts from Hume called An Inquiry Concerning Human Understanding. The difference between Locke and Hume is an essay, and the one's an inquiry concerning human understanding. So very, very close titles, just one word different. So let me just summarize what we talked about in the last unit. We talked about the way that throughout the history of philosophy, from the ancient Greeks forward, right? We started with Plato, we made it to Descartes. Those were our sort of bookends. There had been a bit of doubt or suspicion about the ability of the senses to deliver true information, to give you accurate information, and therefore accurate knowledge. And for all of these people, called the rationalists, reason was valued more highly as a more accurate source. One of the things is that Plato and Descartes argue there's something innate within us that we're all born with that allows us to rely on ourselves as thinking beings that we can trust. So it's an innate mechanism within the mind. Some of them thought maybe the soul, but it's there from birth. It's always been there. It's sort of just all humanity shares it, and when we're born, it just kind of is there. You just have to tap into it. Now, in Plato's philosophy, this sort of innate thing is humans' abilities to reason. And it's their ability to reason which guarantees their ability to comprehend forms, right? And forms are that sort of higher truth. Every particular instance is just a shadow of this sort of higher idea that exists somewhere, right, in reason. According to Descartes, there is also a truth out there, and in his philosophy, God is the guarantor that we can rely on reason to know something, to not have to doubt everything. And don't forget that Descartes starts off with saying, well, I don't know if anything I believe is accurate, so he starts off by wiping the slate clean and then starting to build up what he knows he can trust, and then he sort of builds bigger from there. And so what he gets to is the fact that it's the use of reason, and he talks about inferential reasoning and rational intuition. We don't have to get into that too much, but there's sort of use of reason is more reliable over the use of senses. Now, empiricism. So empiricism around the 17th century, there's a greater and greater debate over how much you depended on sense experience to gain knowledge, right? As empiricism grows, there's more argument that you are more dependent. And so John Locke is our kind of first proponent, and he says that no, our knowledge is based on sense experience. So in the essay Concerning Human Understanding, it's that essay that sort of sets philosophy in a different direction, right? It goes, instead of all being sort of rationalist, it now swerves and goes to more this empirical based direction, I guess you can say. And he says we don't have that kind of rational insight that Descartes talks about, because everything in your mind has only come about because of sense impressions. So reason is just manipulating data that sort of come in through your senses, and so there is no sort of reason that's separate. It's just a manipulation of sense experience. And this means, in other words, that a priori things don't exist. There is no sort of a priori category. Everything is based on experiential notice. Now, Locke doesn't think that Descartes is wrong. He just thinks that Descartes is wrong of how he gets to the information he's thinking about, right? So yes, I think, therefore I am. Maybe yes, God exists, but you aren't getting to those answers the right way. And don't forget, the whole part of philosophy is if you don't get to the answer the right way, you can't be sure that you can trust the answer you arrive at. So I'm going to sum up kind of empiricism really quickly. And obviously you're going to need to read the text more closely, but I'm just giving you that sort of overview so you know what it is that you're reading, or what you need to be looking for as you read. So the empiricists are rejecting the notion of rational intuition or the primacy or the hierarchy of reason, right? So reason doesn't have this privileged position like it does for the rationalists. Instead, empiricists claim that it's your sense experience that's the source of all concepts and thus all knowledge. And what they claim is that what you think is innate is actually learned, and you've learned it through experience or learned it through other people's sense experience, right? So you just have picked it up over time. You don't remember you picked it up, you just think it's in there. And I've got this quote from Hume who's basically saying that you got to be pretty smart if you could discover by reasoning that crystal is the effect of heat unless you don't know about it already. So he says it's not like you've just kind of automatically know it. You've got to have experience with it before. So I want to go through Locke's ideas a little bit more closely. In book 1 of his essay concerning human understanding, basically Locke comes up with ideas that kind of wipes out centuries of philosophy, especially Descartes. And some of the key passages, there's a passage where he's talking about how children learn, and then another passage or phrase is this tabula rasa. So in the passage where he's talking about children learn, he actually uses children as an example, and he also uses idiots, which is obviously very non-PC language to use, but they didn't have, in 1630, they did not, you could use the word idiot. So what he's saying is that if you look at these two cases, it clearly undermines, right, it clearly rejects that older view that the mind comes preloaded, right, that it just, you're born and there's all this stuff in it already. He says if it was, then children or the cognitively impaired would just know everything. He obviously didn't know what people with cognitive impairment meant. They didn't have the science to know that yet. But anyway, that's an older classical view and an older medieval view that he just says this can't be right. And then he says concepts, right? The idea of God, morality itself, weight, the idea of weight, the idea of something has substance, the idea of yourself, the idea of density, all of that has to be learned. If it was in their minds already, children and the cognitively impaired would know it already. But all of this idea, and we're specifically talking concepts, right? It's not that, it's not sort of like, I know how to kick a ball. It's the idea that balls fall, right? So sort of the idea of gravity, or that balls have weight, they just don't float around, or that if I kick a bubble versus if I kick a soccer ball, they have a different weight, right? So he's saying it's this idea of density, weight, substance, the being able to think of those as categories. That's what Locke says. It's only because we've kicked a whole lot of balls, not because we have this innate knowledge about weights and substance and density. And then he uses the term tabula rasa, which tabula rasa literally means a blank slate or a blank piece of. Tabulas were writing surfaces, and rasa would mean blank or write clean. So there are no, and he also uses the phrase, there are no innate ideas that are stamped upon the mind from birth. And again, all the ideas we have, all knowledge is triggered by impressions or images or things that come into our mind through senses. And we're talking, when I say senses, sight, smell, touch, taste, sound, right? So we get an impression of something and it comes into our mind, and then we just think we have an idea about it, but it's actually based on a tactile thing. Now, Locke does say that impressions are not the only source of knowledge. He says the mind furnishes the understanding with ideas. So the other point then, he says, what the mind does is not produced by sensation, but sensation provides the material for you to work on. It's like I don't know, a potter. The potter knows how to shape the material, but if you don't have any clay, which would be any impressions, you can't shape anything. So impression provides the clay, and then the mind provides like the hands that do the working. Hopefully that's an analogy that works. So explain Locke a little more closely. He says the empty room of the mind is furnished with ideas of two sorts. So that would be another analogy, right? That the mind is sort of like a blank, an empty room, and you have to put furniture inside of it. And you can get, and the furniture would be ideas, and there's two kinds. So there's ideas of sensation and ideas of reflection. Right? By sensation, that's obviously you get ideas about things that exist outside of us, and by reflection, you get ideas about your own mental operation or feelings. Locke also distinguished between simple ideas, complex ideas, and he always thought that you could break a complex idea down into more simple ones. And he also thought there was a difference between qualities of something. And so he calls there's a primary quality and a secondary quality. And the primary is very important. These are indistinguishable or necessary to produce ideas that resemble the thing itself, right? So it's like a ball can't be a ball if it's not round, but a ball could be a ball if it's red or blue or stripy or has pictures painted on it, right? So the stripy pictures painted on it, that would be the secondary quality, but a ball's got to be round. Otherwise it's no longer a ball, unless we're talking about American football, but ignore that for a moment. Most balls are round, which is the only exception I can think of is American football. The secondary qualities could change, right? I could paint the ball blue, it would still be a ball, it's just a different color. I could see a red ball and I turn the lights off and I can't see the color of the ball at all, but I still know that it's round and it feels a certain way, so that the fact that I can feel it lets me know that it's still holding a ball despite the fact that I cannot see what it looks like. So he says there are certain qualities that are more primary, and then there's these secondary parts after it. So as you go through your reading, you'll see these terms. This is the sort of explanation for what those mean.